Welcome back to another episode of Heads and Tails. And first up, a declaration of interest. They say don't meet your heroes, but today I'm going to ignore that, as I introduce to you the incomparable David Hieatt to the podcast. Bankrupt at 16, thrown out of college at 18, and after a stint at Saatchi & where, in his own words, he had a ball, David left advertising to go back to Wales and build his own brand from there. He started Howie's in 95, later selling to Timberland, and then the Do Lectures, which is probably what he's most well known for today. In 2012, he went back to Cardigan on the West Wales coast, from where he built the Hieatt Denim company, and I'll let David describe the genesis of that inspiring story later. For those interested in storytelling, brand building, the power of copy, there is, I don't think, anyone better. So, David, a warm welcome to Heads and Tails.
Wow, that's a very nice intro. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. We are, as you know, a mentoring business. We believe in the power of mentors. Can I start in a sort of linear manner by asking who is or who was your mentor?
This is like sort of like just to fry everyone's brains at the very start is I think you should have not just one mentor. I think you should have multiple mentors, but it should be for very specific needs. So like if you are, I'm a Liverpool fan, if you want to go and build a team and a culture, then you should mentor or have as a mentor like, you know, Jurgen Klopp. If it's about money, you should have a different mentor. And if it's about creativity, a different mentor. So I think you got to be like, you got to go to like a chocolate box of mentors. Like right now I need strawberry, but later I need toffee. And I think it's like you got to be cherry pick the mentor that is absolutely right for you in that moment. And so that's what I think about mentors.
Perfect. Let's start with then your school life. Tell us an anecdote from your time at school.
Well, I kind of I guess I showed my entrepreneurial tastes very early because my school was like 2 miles away from the nearest shop. So what I discovered in the summer is they had no tuck shop. So I would go to a wholesaler, get some tip tops, a box of 100 tip tops. I would freeze them at night, and then I would smuggle them into school by day and in my Adidas holdall. And then it was going really well. I would sell out every day. It was amazing business. I had a monopoly. But then the litter came back to haunt me. They discovered all these tip-top wrappers, and the trail of litter came back to me, and I got banned from selling tip-tops.
So the entrepreneurial blood was in you from a young age. You then joined Saatchi & when you were 21. I guess from that moment, what do you think has been the toughest moment in your career so far?
I think it's not like a tough moment per se. It's not like an individual thing. It's like, I guess when you hire people and you think, oh my gosh, these people are going to absolutely fly. And they sort of let you down, but then they let you down repeatedly. I think it's when people don't fly and you're giving them the chance and they don't understand they have the chance. So it's really like, that's the best and toughest moment is when somebody does fly in a business. That's the best feeling. And sometimes you don't know, you have a hunch, and sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. So the toughest moment is when you're wrong.
And do you tell them when they don't fly?
Yeah, I mean, you can try and help them and you try and mentor them. And some people, like, they don't have the hunger, and maybe I'm going to come on to that answer in a different question, but it's sometimes like you think the opportunity is there. It's all you have to do is just take it. But some people just don't take it. And that's the hardest thing, where you go, God, you really got everything, and you just there's something missing somewhere. And that's not a disappointment. It's a disappointment for them and for me. So
looking outside in on what you put online, it seems to me that transparency is the key to everything there. So you can definitely infer that from the way in which you manage people. Your story, perhaps you may choose this, your story about going back to Cardigan in 2012 is a special one. Is that the best moment of your career, starting the Hieatt Denim company?
I think it was it was a bittersweet moment. We sold Howie's, and we were like half finished on that mission. So it was kind of like for 12 months we were going, oh my gosh, we've sold it, and was that the right thing to do? And then suddenly starting Hieatt Denim with the grandmasters, with the skills, with a town that absolutely can make the best jeans in the world, and we have some brand making skills, plus the internet happened. So you were suddenly in this beautiful sweet spot of life and business that only comes now and again. So, like starting Hieatt with the grandmasters has been the best thing, just because working with amazing people and being part of a team. And a lot of people don't understand how important that is, but being part of a team is the best feeling, like almost ever.
And can you share with our audience the kind of not the genesis per se, but the vision of what that company is trying to do for the town particularly too?
Yeah, I mean, just context is like Cardigan used to have Britain's biggest jeans factory, and it made 35,000 pairs of jeans a week, every week for 40 years. And so it's in a small town, had Britain's biggest jeans factory, and yet in 2002, that factory closed. And so like 400 world-class makers had nothing to make. And a maker town has to make, otherwise it loses identity. And so myself and Claire said, well, wow, like a maker town has to make. Can we get the town making jeans again? And so the question we asked is, can we get 400 people their jobs back? And your dreams should be slightly scary, because your parents are going to have maybe sensible dreams, whereas I think you should have crazy dreams for yourself, where you go, your dreams should almost scare you a little bit. Not completely, so you don't actually do anything, but a little bit. So that was the context, really.
Lovely. For those who, and you'd be mad not to, but for those who don't know the Do Lectures, it's a sort of love child of books, advice, events, newsletters. Do check it out if you haven't. I'm a regular at your events. But perhaps outside of that, what's one book or film or podcast you'd recommend at the moment?
Oh, I mean, it's just one book. I mean, my old boss wrote an amazing book, and it was a guy called Paul Arden, who was my creative director. And he wrote a book, and he said, the title is a great title, it's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be, which is really the essence of hunger. And I kind of love that book, and I kind of recommend it, and I kind of give that book a lot to people. So, and also he was my old boss, and I kind of I miss him. So,
sorry, that's a good bit of advice. We'll check that out. And again, you are opinionated on LinkedIn on everything you do. It's you and your personality and your brand is part of what you put out. What's your most, dare I say, unpopular or controversial opinion?
I think the unpopular opinion is, well, there's a few, but I'm not a big believer in working from home. I think for some people it's really important, but I think the huge beauty of having a business and being part of a team is to be together. And I think, yes, for some people it's really important, and it's the only way to do it. I get that. But if you can be together, you should be together. Because there's nuance, there's small talk, there's crazy ideas. So that's one of them. But the other one is I can't teach people to have hunger. And people just go, oh no, that's not true. Every time I've tried to motivate people, I've never really motivated people. The motivation always comes from you, and it's like an inner game. And if somebody has to go and tell you and motivate you, it's really, that's your job. I mean, and so people don't like that. They think, oh, that's not fair. It's not true. No, everyone's different. But some people just have a fire in their belly, and nobody's going to put it out.
Can I press you for one more? I feel like we've got another gem in there, another unpopular, perhaps controversial opinion.
And another unpopular one is going to raise money, because a lot of people going, I'm going to go and raise money, and going, here's a controversial idea, is go and raise money by actually selling something. And you go, And so people go, and I think I see a lot of people, they raise a lot of money and in essence, they end up not owning their company, and somebody else at some point is going to own their company. And so it's kind of like it's a bit of a cheat. And you go like make a product, go and try and sell it, get money in the bank, and take it from there. And if enough people really want your product, you'll have enough money in your bank, and that will fuel your success.
Amen. Amen to that. We're at the back end of the episode, so I'll finish with one last question, David. You are asked your opinion all the time. So let me ask you this. What's one piece of advice that you would have for someone developing a career in your sector? So either that's business more broadly, perhaps anything more specific, but in your sector specifically, what's one piece of advice you would leave people with?
I would do this one thing, and I think if you can learn how to do this one thing, it's going to absolutely help you in everything you do. And so that is learn to write so another human being can feel something. And if you can completely do that, you will grow businesses, you'll get the jobs you want, you'll raise money, you'll do great talks, you'll write books and all sorts of things. I'm not talking about Shakespeare. I'm talking about being able to write so another human being can understand clearly what you are trying to say. Because the better you write, the clearer you think. And if you do that, that is the superpower. You've got to just learn that and everything else will fall into place.
Wonderful. Well, let me sign off then by saying that David is not wearing a cape. He's wearing a very fetching blue fleece. But it's been a joy to have a hero of mine on the podcast. David, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.